Hey, what's up guys? So I'm actually going to be taking over what it looks like I'm saying in the video with a voiceover, mainly because the camera's audio that I recorded it with just is all sorts of messed up. So in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how I made this super low budget desk. So it's like a gaming desk or a computer desk and super low budget, and even though I'm no expert, almost anyone can really make this and save a lot of money and just kind of build the desk that you want to have in your room. The max money that I spent for the wood itself was only $70. That's not including the leg chairs though, but still $70 for all that wood. Alright, so now the camera's doing some paranormal activity. There's my face, and now I set it up to perfectly hide my ugly face. Alright, and like I said, I'm no expert. I'm probably the last person that should be using a power drill. So this is the layout that I'm aiming for, and you guys are currently looking at the underneath side, so it upside down. So it's going to have this border, which is going to help stabilize it and make things a lot easier. The border is going to run all the way around with 4 pieces of extra wood. And this was just spare wood that I also got cut, and it was suggested to me by one of the employees where I got the wood from. So like Home Depot or Lowe's, you can go there. In this part of the video, I didn't have the desk legs. I used this piece of wood to show you where the legs would go, and you'd ideally want to get a 4x4 with any length that you choose. So the dimensions of my desk that I'm aiming for in the video is 72 by 30 with a height of 30. So the tools that I use as well was a paint tray, definitely important, and as well as a paintbrush, wood glue, nails, and if you don't know what size nails, you can just simply ask one of the workers at Home Depot or Lowe's to be 100% sure. And then a plastic cover for the paint drips and just to protect your floor from paint, super important. And you'll see why in the video, because I actually spilled paint and it was just the crappiest way to spill paint, and I didn't have the cover on yet. Anyways, a power drill, a block, or just something to sand the wood with. You can get like a super cheap foam little sanding block, and then paint primer and paint color of your choice. I ended up painting my desk white, so that's the color that I got. So the next step would to be to sand all the rough edges off of all the wood. This shouldn't take too long. This is a spill I had that it forced me to put the plastic covering on. So I bought these desk legs for about $10 a piece, so they were pretty cheap and they were already pre-made for a desk or a table. So this was a pretty cool addition. Then the next step, which is really key, is to paint everything up. So you want to pour the primer into a tray. You want to go over the wood with pressure. It's not hard to figure out how to paint, just don't let the thick drips dry out. So if you see any thick drips on there, make sure to rub it out. You can also choose to assemble the desk before you paint it, but I found that this way was a lot more efficient, but it did take a little bit longer than if you did it the other way. The primer should only take about 30 minutes to an hour to dry, so if you have time in the day, you can go to the next step, which is to either assemble it, which is what I did, or to paint it with the next coat, so white. So you only need primer and then your actual color. The next thing you want to do is you want to place wood glue on the pieces of board and then glue them and stick them as hard as you can against the wood, just for extra support, as well as the screws we're going to be putting in later. So just take your power drill, turn it on, make sure it's on the right like insert mode. I don't know what to call it. Make sure it's like in the insert mode. Take your drill bit, get a good size. You can either attach the screw to the drill bit and then go in, or you can just drill the hole and then hand screw it in with the screwdriver, which is probably the better idea and the way I went with after this one. So this is what happens when you mess up, so that's why I went with just drilling a hole and then hand screwing it in. So I went ahead and drilled all the holes and hand screwed each single one really tight. Make sure it's pretty tight. It's very important that you screw the screws of each border plank into each other, as well as each individual plank into the base, so the desk itself as well. So I have about 4 on each plank of the border. So like 2 going in to the other borders and then 2 into the actual base. You can kind of get a feel for it. And also, I also removed one of the border planks just because the base ended up being really curvy and it was just like really hard to align it if the base was really curvy. So I took it off, and I'm actually, in the end, I'm like sitting at my desk and I'm actually happy that it was removed. It just feels a lot easier to access things when there's not just a board sticking out in front of you. But of course, it's all up to you guys, which makes it really awesome. This whole thing is all up to you guys. You guys can customize it any possible way you can think of. So this next part is probably the hardest part. Depending on how big your desk is, you want to get a friend, someone to help you out here. And this is attaching the desk legs to the base or to the desk. And so you just want to put the desk leg, snug it up in the corner. It should fit perfectly based on the border planks. And then you want to drill holes in and screw the screws between the leg and the border plank, and then the leg and the base. You can put however many as you feel like you need. It's very important that your friend or whoever you have holds it up firmly at a 90-degree angle against the base. So when it's all attached, it's going to be screwed in at a 90-degree angle. Alright, so as an update, this is what it looks like so far. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to have an elevated portion where my monitors are going to stand. So it's going to be kind of a higher eye level. Because I don't know about you guys, but back in the day I used to use SAT books to stand my monitors and make them taller, but this way it's going to make it a lot cooler, because why not, and a lot easier to have your monitors at a higher level. And I got these little knobs that are going to be the legs for this elevated plank for like $4. Super cheap. You can go to Lowe's, I believe. So this is what the elevated portion is going to look like, but having it centered and like symmetrically placed, I don't really feel that there's a lot of space for the keyboard and mouse, and just not enough comfort. So just like this, I'm going to scoot it back and give it more room. And so there's going to be a little part hanging off, which means I'm going to have to scoot the legs further in so that there can be a little hanging portion and the elevated part can be further out. Alright, so with the elevated little knobs, which are the legs, they came with a little thread on top of it, but pretty much what I did, I drilled a hole. Turns out that wasn't big enough, so I started taking my screwdriver, made the hole bigger, and then just started twisting with the knob, and eventually the thread engraved a bigger hole and it slid right in. Alright, so for this next part, it's a little bit more difficult than it seems. It seems pretty easy, but it's actually really hard because you want to take the elevated portion with the little knobs, place it and make sure it's centered, and then kind of go under the desk and take a guess, might be, or if you have long arms, you can get a feel for it, kind of tell where it's at, and then drill a hole and then insert a screw from the bottom up, just like how I'm doing right here, and just do that to all four. Alright, so in this part of the video, this is just an update. The elevated portion looks sick. I'm just talking about how, you know, how happy I am. I'm just like, oh my god, it's so cool. But yeah, it was pretty cool. If you're wondering why the knobs are unpainted, it's because I ran out of primer. So when I actually use the white coat of paint, I'm just gonna use that to paint the knobs. So kind of skipping over the primer step for the knobs, which I don't recommend. If you can't tell, all the wood actually hasn't been painted with the white coat yet. I still have to do that. So with these extra boards I'm going to be placing them under the desk for cable management. The way I did it was a little bit of an overkill, and you'll see. So this is where I took two boards, screwed them and attached them together, and so this is the back side of the desk where I'm attaching it to. So, and all the cords will be hidden behind that board. So this was very hard to attach, but it was a smart idea in my opinion. So this is just an awkward video of my weird looking back. Not sure why I recorded from this angle. This other angle is a lot better, but you guys can kind of tell how hard it was. I had to curve the nail because it couldn't go from the bottom up, just because the board was too long for the screw. I keep saying nail, but I mean screw. So I had to curve the screw for it to go through the board and through the base. And obviously I made sure the point of the screw wasn't popping out the top, because, you know, that hurt. So from here you guys can see it installed. You can see what it's going to look like. Pretty much I'm going to have a power outlet on top of that thing and all the cords going into that. So the center of all the cords and all the cables are going to be located behind those boards. And now you can see what I'm talking about when I say I curved the screw. And it was really hard, but yeah. So this part destroyed my mood. The desk, I don't even know how I didn't realize this, but the desk couldn't fit through the door. It kind of made me mad, but I kept my cool. And so we had to take off the desk legs. That part killed me the most. And then we had to slide it through the door and then reattach them. So this is the finished product. Super happy about it all. Like, literally I saved so much money doing this, and it was also a little fun project to do. So as you guys can see, the monitors fit perfectly on the little elevated part. It's really awesome. I can put my speakers on the side, keyboard right there. This is what it looks like with a little LED strip in the back with the lights off. Crank it down a little bit, make it look like a little Sex in the City. Cable management wise, it didn't turn out too bad. I did the best I could. In the back though, it looks like the gates to hell. So we're just gonna kind of ignore that part. That's what it looks like in the back. That's how many cords I have. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, I did what I could. For the most part, it looks pretty cool. I got speakers, mic set up, headphones. It's all really looking nice. TV mounted on top. So the final budget for all of this ended up being about $150. And honestly, it wasn't even close to that. It was probably like $120, $130, but super cheap budget desk for you guys. If this inspired you in any way, just please let me know. Very curious, and if it helped you in any way, if I gave you any ideas or anything at all, just make sure to drop a like. Subscribe for my channel, please, for more helpful videos like this. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.